Hey everyone, it's the day after a big thaw. We're going to check out the lake drain again. You see the water flowing over the top of the ice? That's because it warmed up so fast the ice couldn't melt before the thaw. Look at that, the water's going over the top of it because there's not enough space underneath, and as a result, look at that, it flooded way out there before eventually it found a way underneath. Flooded over this whole area. But after a 60-degree rainy day yesterday, today's in the 20s and tonight's going way down below zero. This is all going to freeze up again, but I want to take a look at the intake structure, which by the looks of it, it must be flowing perfect, but I can't wait to see how the drain's holding up. Oh my gosh, wow. Look how high up the water got yesterday. Look at this, it pushed all these gigantic chunks of ice. Because what happened was, we saw a river in the area, not this one. The water was all flowing over the ice. But eventually, if you have too much water on top of the ice, what happens is it starts floating. And when it floats, it breaks up and smashes all over the edges, sometimes even causing jams. But, look at this. The intake structure is down underneath all this stuff somewhere. Look how many gigantic icebergs are blocking it. But that's not a big deal at all. In fact, it'll actually insulate it when the weather starts to get cold again, so it won't cause any problems. But here's the exiting end. And look at that, you can see how high up these are. See how the ice sheets are all dislodged? This thing was raging a lot more than you're seeing now. I can tell you that. This river got so high, look at this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is all wet here because it was actually going over it. I would not be surprised if this river was flooding up and over this whole thing yesterday. Because you see right here is a little bit higher, the snow is white, but right here looks like it possibly could have flooded over and down the other side yesterday. Because look at how high up these ice chunks are. Very possible. My last video of the place, you saw this thing was freezing solid. I walked down the entire river. Oh yeah, look at this. Stuff smashed up here, look at this. It was breaking pieces of wood it got from somewhere. I see trees all scuffed up. Yeah, right here, look at this. See how it's like frozen dribbles? Yes, it was definitely going over the entire trail. And look how thick that river ice was. That's a good foot or more. It looks so beautiful, the edges of the river. All right, we have another half a mile walk down to that other side of the lake I showed at the beginning of the video. So this drainage canal right here, the way that works is an intake structure far upstream. It comes over down the canal and keeps a man-made lake full and fresh water running through it. Then it comes down a drain back into the river again, for anyone who hasn't seen my previous videos. And it looks like I'm the first set of footprints out here today. All right, cutting off the trail for a minute to go up to the lake. Check it out. Now you can see how far from the parking lot there it's spilling over before it found a way underneath. Honestly, one day at 60 degrees is not gonna be melting probably 2 feet of ice on that lake. Over here, if it's over a foot on a moving river, that's probably a lot thicker out there, and one day above 60 probably would not compromise that, but I'm not going to take my chance across it until I give it a couple days to freeze up again. Very interesting, guys. This man-made dam keeping the lake separate from the river as we walk to the drain. Definitely this whole area was flooded earlier this morning. Look at this. Definitely flooded. So the river was flooding over the dam and feeding the lake in an area it wasn't meant to. Look at this. Look how high this is. Yeah, this whole area flooded over as the ice just started pushing over too. Wow. I love the giant walls of sheets of ice and thick icebergs all over the place. Continuing down the trail, doesn't appear like right here had any spills, but I'm sure there will be at lower spots up ahead. This trail would be so slippery if it stopped precipitating before it got cold again, because if it just stopped raining while it was warm and then got cold, this would be so slick. But since it started sleeting before the precipitation shut off, there's like a whole bunch of sleet pellets stuck to the ice, giving me great traction on the walk. Yeah, the other side, look how high those sheets of ice are compared to the actual riverbed. It must have flooded like crazy over there. There are a few areas that are slippery as the trail slants towards the hill. Here we are to the lake drain, and the discharging end looks totally awesome. Yes, people were walking around in the slush out there, which is safe. I've done that before. You just got to know what the limits are. But look at this. If you guys see my other videos, this is quite a slant. Look at all this frazzle ice and sheets of ice. Oh wow, that is so beautiful, this scene. And I see water splashing up like crazy out of the discharge. The drain itself is completely thawed out. And look at this, those tire tracks. It looks like when this thing was flooding, the DOT or someone even came out here to take a check on it. Yeah, you can see all the turbulence of the water coming up from underneath. And because it's coming up from underneath, this thing rarely freezes. And it never freezes solid. Awesome, but I can tell the way it's going in. This thing is at capacity. Wow, look at this. Oh, wow, wow, wow. It's siphoning and it's sucking air in with it. That's what all that is. Boom, boom, boom. And look at this, it's finding its way through there. It's a gigantic wall of ice. And in just sort of comparison, some of those things are a good 14, 16 inches. Let's get closer to this thing. Whoa. No, we're not going to get that big thing moving, but wow. Whoa! All over my face! Wow! Awesome! Look at the icicles everywhere from it splashing. Oh, this is awesome! Definitely want to try to be here for the next thaw when this is actually moving in and happening. I do actually have a time-lapse camera set up further downstream of this river, and I placed it there before the ice broke away. I'm hoping for a successful time-lapse. Whoa! Oh, this is so uneven. Wow. Oh, it's not stable yet. This stuff hasn't froze together yet because this just happened early this morning. That's what I just slipped into, that hole. Look at this. It was like a big liquid slurry that came up here. So this river was at least 4 feet higher than what you're seeing now. You see it's really dirty with all the sediment coming by. Now let me try to get out of here without slipping again. I want to get over there and show you those beautiful blue pieces of ice. Oh, you can tell this forest area flooded quite a bit. It's nice to know the DOT actually comes out here to check up on this stuff. So, to try to minimize damage, look at this. See how thick that ice is compared to my hand? I'd say this right here is a good solid foot, but I do see thicker ones over here. It's best for me to just to walk on the sheets. Like I said, they're not slippery because of the layer of sleet. So I don't need cleats. I just got to be careful not to walk in between them where the slush hasn't hardened yet. Okay, this is probably the thickest one here. Say that's at least 16 inches. Probably a few inches more. These pieces are huge. Wrong step, one of these could move and pin my leg. That's why I got to be very careful where I'm stepping. A lot more exciting than I thought it would be. Next time I'll make a point to driving up to this area earlier in the storm, but this happened fast. If I look on the river gauge, this thing rose and fell all in the nighttime hours. Last night, around 5 in the afternoon, I should say, this river hadn't risen yet, even though it was warm. It rose so fast at night, then overnight, a cold front came by, windy as hell, and after that cold front came by, I'd say it dropped 20 degrees in an hour, flash freezing everything, and the next week, we're not gonna get above freezing in this area once. So this river, good chance it'll freeze up again, and we'll have this whole ice sheet thing again. But because it's almost March, I don't think it'll freeze to that extent again. March, the sun rays start to get stronger, ice is a little bit harder to form, and April, the river has really no chance of doing anything. Because what you saw, these ice sheets, that's at least 1 month of below freezing, and a few little days in between another big freeze. So let's say a solid 6 weeks of weather around the freezing mark or extremely below did this. I don't think we'll get another long stretch like that this year. I have to wait until next year. Yep. I do expect it to freeze over a little bit though in the next cold week. All right, everybody. Pretty cool ladders here people have built. This is the part's a bit slippery. Hands actually hurt because when I slip back there, my hands hit the surface so hard they feel numb. But that might also just be a combination with my hands being freezing too. All right, hope this video was interesting. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.